I've got Oakley here, and I started working with her on what I call lining up, okay? And the reason is because the video that I posted of the first, not really ride, but where I was backing her and having my husband walk her around, and she was pretty jumpy about me being up above her and seeing me on the other side of her and all that kind of stuff. So this is something that you can do even long before you go to back them, or like I'm doing with her now. I've backed her a few times, and I'm going to go ahead and do this to improve on it. And I already started with her and said, you know what, if I was really smart, I'd go set my camera up. So, so I ended her where she finally actually lined up and settled there for the first time. I didn't get on her, but she lined up and she settled, okay? So what I like to do when I'm starting a horse is use, if you've got like a really good pipe crawl stall that's going to stay up good, or like I'm going to use the horse trailer here, but I'm going to use something that I can hold on to, and I'm going to show you how I use this to help teach a horse to accept the rider without putting yourself in any danger, okay? This is how I started my first Mustang makeover girl, okay? And it worked so well. I did this for several days until she was just super comfortable with, you know, me swinging my leg over, putting my weight on her, but I was able to stay safe. And then after just a few days of that, I was able to actually get on her and have somebody lead me around and not have any issues at all. So this is a really good way to prepare the horse for accepting a rider, okay? So what I do, I've got a long whip. This was a lunge whip, and it basically has the tail cut off of it, okay? Depending on your horse, you could use a dressage whip, but even that sometimes can be a bit short. If you have to jump off of your step, you can. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and you'll see me do that. But if you have something longer that is able to keep you up on that step more, then that's even better. So where I start, and like I said, I already started this with her, is I reach over to the other side of her, and I tap her on the butt, and she should step over. Good girl. Just like that. Now, I'm going to tell you, though, she didn't do that at first. We had to work on this for a little while, and she was wanting to kick out at it. And so I had to keep on her until she would move away from it. She didn't want to give to it. But now she's giving to it really well. As soon as she picked it up, what she was supposed to do, she's got it like that. So then what I do is I'm going to step up on here. And I would just have, when I had her line up to me, I was just on this first step. So now I'm going to go up on this bigger step. And it's going to also help her get used to me being up above her. And if I have to jump down, I will. Good girl. But at first, when I even went up just on that little step, she didn't even want to come anywhere near me. She was like, oh no. So see how she moves away? So I can move her back over using this long whip. Good girl. Good. And if she moves over, away from me, then I'll tap her on the rump on the other side and get her to move over closer. Good. And then when she lines up to me good, then I'll give her a treat. Good. So she could be a little bit closer, but that's not bad at all. Good girl. Good. And I like that she's settling. So go ahead and give her a treat if she stands still. Good. So if they go to tip their head around and get the treat and their hind end swings off the other way, I don't give it to them. They got to stand here. Now I'm going to tap her again. Good. You just got to move away from the whip. Good. Tapping her because see how she wants to move away from me? And I'm just going to work her like this until she lines up and settles. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Good. And this is actually great for even if you're not starting a horse, even if you have a horse that's already broke to ride. but you have trouble getting him to come up to the mounting block, this is what you're going to do. Good! Ooh. And I'm just going to wait for her to settle. She's a little nervous about it. Ooh. Good girl. Well done. Good girl. Bite it, silly girl. Good. Good. So then I'm just going to kind of lean on her a little bit. But I'm not going to put all my weight on her. If she was to run away, I'm still on the trailer. Good. So then what I can do, oh, I'm sorry. I bumped her with my whip there. That was my fault. I'll just bring her back up. Good girl. Good. Good girl. So then what I can do is I got one foot on this and I've got one hand on here and I'm stuck on this trailer. I'm not coming off this trailer, but I can swing my leg over up onto her a little bit. Good. And get her used to this whole idea of me being up above her. And I can even slide over a little. Good girl. And it would of course be easier if she was closer, but I'm just going to introduce her to it just a little bit, and then I'll start to ask her to be closer. Now see how she moved? I'm not going to give her a carrot then. She's got to come up closer to me. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good job. Good. Good. Good girl. Good job. Good girl. No, see how she moved? She's not supposed to move. She's going to get that carrot. She's got to stand still. Well done. Good. And she's a little in front, and that's fine. I'm not going to get too nitpicky at her. Good. Stand. Good girl. Okay, so now what I'll do, again, I'm stuck on this trailer, is put a little bit more weight on her. But if she moves off, I'm jumping on the trailer. I'm not going with her. So if she decides to buck or do anything silly, good girl. And I'm just going to bounce on her a little bit and rock on her. Or if she wants to run off, I don't care. I'm not committed to her. I'm hanging on to this trailer, and that's where I'm going to be. So then I can be safe as I get her used to having someone sit in the saddle. Good girl. Good. Look at that. Good girl. So then what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to jump down, I'm going to walk her off, and I'm going to line her up again and see if she'll stand a little bit closer, and so that I can commit my weight to her a little bit more. Not really commit it, but just put some more weight on her. And this exercise, if you're just teaching a horse to come up to the mounting block, what a good girl. You can do this with a mounting block, is totally fine. But you notice how much I use I have to have something to hang on to, okay, if I'm going to put my weight on her. So, good girl. So like I said, use a stall or a pipe corral rail or something like that. So now I'll sit on her. Good girl. And I don't have to worry too much about keeping her really, really tight in the face or anything like that, keeping her pulled around, because I'm hanging onto this trailer. So if she gets upset, I just pick my leg up and let her go right out from underneath me. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Good. Very well done. So now what I'm going to do, this was the only side that I had worked on it with her, is I'm going to go ahead and do it on her right side as well. Yeah, good job. And I haven't done it on her right side yet. So I'm going to start on the ground with her, and I'm just going to ask her to move her hip over towards the right, away from the whip. And she's going to want to go forward like they always do, and I just tip her head away. Oh, you bumped into the trailer, huh? You got to pay attention. And I'm staying with her and tapping, and she's going to have to figure out what she needs to do. And it helps if I push her head around to the opposite side. Good. That was a step in the right direction. So I'm going to back her up because she's just wanting to go forward, which is not what I want. There, good girl. I don't know if we were in view of the camera for that one or not. So we'll come back over here and I'm going to ask her again. Good girl. And we get this down good on the ground first before I start to do it up on top of the step. Good. So as soon as she moves that hind over a little bit, then I release. Good girl. Think about what she needs to do. Can't step into me. I'm going to still keep my own space. And if I need to, I can even reach her on the other side. Because I really don't want her shoulders going. There's that kick, yep. So I'm going to get after her now because she's not allowed to buck. And my job is that I have to do is stay steady, okay? She is going to find me. If I get all upset at her for bucking, I'm going to hold the boundary. I'm going to let her know that that wasn't okay. But if I get all upset at her, I'm not going to, good girl. I'm not going to accomplish anything. So I have to stay neutral. I have to hold the boundary. And I have to say there's no other option that's going to help you except for moving your hind away from the tap of the whip. And I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on her as far as how hard I'm tapping her. I'm not tapping her much at all, except for if I spank her when she bucks, is a different story. But when I'm tapping her on the hind, I'm not putting a lot of pressure. Certainly not enough that she should buck over. But I think it's more the principle of it that she's arguing with. Good job. Good. Because I don't know if you guys can see it, but she's wanting to move her shoulders too much. And really, her shoulders, I'm not asking her shoulders to do anything. I'd like her shoulders to just stay, and I want her hind end to move. Good girl. Good girl. That was much better. That was the answer that we've been waiting for. Good girl. Now let's just bump her a little bit if she starts moving those shoulders around too. That's not what we want. Nope. Nope. Need to, I can come around the other side a little bit. There. Good girl. Good. Ooh. Ooh. Good. Yes. Good job. This little part on the ground here actually also is your foundation for your side 2 exercise, which is so incredibly useful, again, for if you've got to climb up on something to get on, and you can have your horse side pass over to you and line up for you. It just makes your life so much easier, and you're heading off to a better ride. If you've spent 5 minutes fighting with your horse, if you have to get on at a mounting block, and you spend 5 minutes fighting with your horse just to get on, then you're probably not starting off at for a very good ride. Good girl. So I'm going to move her hind over that way. And what I want to see, good girl. I'm not going to scold her for that. That was good. But I'm going to see if I can get her to line up on this other side here. So we're just going to play with it a little bit. Good girl. Good. And if she's wanting to come on this side, again, I'm not going to scold her. I'm still going to encourage it. Good girl. I'm just going to play with it and see if I can get her to do it on the other side too. What she's a little confused about, so what I'm going to do is set it up a little bit better for her. I'm going to bring her around this side, and I'm going to line her up to it on the ground first, just to clarify, because she's trying to be good. 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 She's got to move away from the whip, though. Whichever, it doesn't matter where I'm at. If I'm tapping her, she's got to move away from it. Good. 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 Yes, thank you. Good girl. Good. So now I'm going to see from over here if I can ask her hind to come over a little bit. And she's getting a little bit confused. She's wanting to stay on that other side, and she's going to have to get it on both, though. Good. Yes. Good girl. So I'll just back her up a little bit. There's nothing behind you. Good. Come on. There's nothing behind you. One more step. There, thank you. Good. And she's going to have to move that hind. Good. There you go. And going forward like she wants to is not going to be the answer. There. Good. She's getting there. Nope. I'm going to keep that shoulder in just a little bit because I don't like her wanting to just move that shoulder. Thank you. There you go. Good girl. And I make sure, too, that I give her a little bit of a rub with the whip because I don't want her to be afraid of it. That's not what we're trying to do here. We definitely don't want her to be afraid of it. But we want her to understand her boundaries. Because if the whip's over here, she can't move into it. That's one of the things that I like to refer to as a deadly sin, okay? There's a couple of deadly sins in my book, and moving into the whip is one of them. Good. Good. So I don't want her to be afraid of it, but if she moves towards it, I am going to scold her because, like I said, it's basically the same thing. If you're riding and you put your left leg on because you want your horse to move off to your right, and that horse moves into your leg, which means you put your left leg on, but they push into it to the left, that's another one that I say is a deadly sin in my book. And so I'll really scold a horse for that. There's not a whole lot that I'll punish him for, but like I said, I've got a few deadly sins in my book that I will get after a horse. And it just is a safety thing. They've got to learn their boundaries. Good girl. And actually, horses, they're like children. They like having boundaries. They may not like it at the time that you're enforcing the boundaries, but it gives them some comfort. Good girl. So now I'll see if she can step forward just a couple steps without swinging her butt off too much. Oops. Like that. Now I'm going to ask her to move her hind over this way. Good. Good. Because she's wanting to assume what I want instead of listening to what I'm asking. Good. Good. Because she learned to do it on the one side, which is great, and I'm not going to punish her for doing that. That's a reasonable, answer. I'm just going to say, no, that's not what I'm asking for. And if she kicks out at it, I'll give her a little spanking. There, yes, yes. Did you see the difference in that response? Good girl. She's figuring it out. Good. Good girl. Okay, so then I just move her right back. Good. Yes. Good. And I'm just going to keep working her right here until she figures it out. But that whip stays on her. It's going to be her left. Is in my right hand right now, but it's going to be her left side. Because I want her to move towards me, but with me being on her right. Good. Ooh. Ooh. Good. Good. She's got to move that hind over. Yes, good girl. Good job. Thank you. Yes, good girl. Good. Good girl. Good response. Yes, good girl. She did come forward a little more than I would like to see, but we're going to go ahead and give it to her. Good girl. Good job. Nope, but if she moves her hind end, swings it out, because when she moves her head around, then I'm going to bring her back right around. Good. And see how because I'm up above her, I can put the whip on whatever side I need to. So I'm keeping it on the, yes, good girl. Good, good girl, good. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can give her a carrot, but if she's going to swing her hind out just like that, then I bring her back. Good, good. Okay, so she's a little bit out of position because she got going too far forward. Good girl. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is step down. Because now that she's finally in position, I don't want to mess it up too much. And I'll give her a piece of carrot if she stays. Good girl. And then I'm going to walk her off and come back. Because what I don't want to do, since she finally lined up, even though she was too far forward, what I don't want to do on her just yet is have her finally line up and then pull her head back around towards me. We want her whole body to be lined up to me. So I'm going to squeeze out of here. And I'll just move her over a little bit. Good girl. And I'll walk her off, and we'll come back. I want her to walk with me, though. She tends to want to drag behind a little bit. So I have to stay on her and keep her walking with me. And like I said, you can use a pipe crawl panel or something like that so that you're not quite so high. Or you can even put a step next to a panel. Oh, good girl. Yes, good job. Okay, now right there, though, she shouldn't walk off. So I'm going to just give her a couple bumps until she takes a step backwards. Yes, good girl. Normally, I don't like to back up by jiggling the lead rope. Usually, I back up from the top of the nose or from a hand cue, which she hasn't learned yet. But because I'm so far away, I'm going to have to jiggle the rope if I need her to back up a bit. but I'm not generally too into being quite so active with the rope. But when you're at a distance, you don't always have much choice. Yes, good girl. So now I'm just going to kind of move the saddle around a little bit if I can find a place to put this down. There we go. Good girl. Good job. Once again, I'm going to have my right hand on this trailer, and I'm not moving. And I don't put my foot in the stirrup. My right foot is on this trailer. So if she goes to move, I'm on the trailer. Good girl. Good. Good girl. And I can even rub her on her butt a little bit, because how many times have you guys seen somebody go to get on and they bump their horse in the butt with their leg by accident and their horse jumps? Not a very well broke horse. Good girl. Good. So then I'll give her a piece of carrot, but I don't want her to move. What a good girl. Good. So what's happening here is she's learning her boundaries. Her boundary is move away from the whip, and when she gets lined up here, unless I ask her for something specific, she's not supposed to move. I'm going to have to back her up a little bit. Yep, come back around here. So even though she moved afterwards, I was proud of her that she didn't move when she bent her head around for the carrot. Good girl. Line up. Yes. That was okay. She bumped into the trailer. And so again, she's just going to have to learn her space and contact and what the boundaries are. And boundaries, again, I'm mostly talking about the boundaries that I give, but bumping into the trailer, that's also a boundary. Good girl. Good job. Good girl. So again, I'll put my leg over, and I'll kind of rock on her, bounce on her a little bit. Good girl. Sit in the saddle, move around, come off, back on. Good girl. Good. Now I'm going to ask her to see if she'll move a little closer. I don't want her walking off, though. That's, again, learning those boundaries. Nope, don't want her walking off. Just come a little closer. Nope, don't want you walking off. Take a step back. Yes, good girl. It's not much, but I got to reward her for the try. She's just starting out with this stuff. So just even a couple of steps is fine. Good girl. Good. I'm going to ask her to back up, though. Good. You're doing fine, honey. Yes. Good job. Good girl. So I'm just going to lean on her a little bit, make sure she sees me in that other eye. That's where she's spooked. If you watch the video of that first time that I laid over the back of her and had my husband walk her around, that was where the spook was because he didn't have her quite in a good enough circle. He was letting her tip her head to the outside. And so when she tipped her head and she saw me laying over on the other side of her, that's what scared her. So I'm going to let her make sure that she sees me in both eyes while doing this. And then, holding on to the trailer, I can sit on her some. Good girl. And back up. Boop. And sit on her. And back up. Good. Well done. Now what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to try something a little tricky on her. That. Have to bring her hip back around. Good girl. Now I'll ask her to back up some. Since she's getting a little bit better at this kind of stuff, I'm going to ask her to back up. Good. And ask her to bring her hip. Good girl. Good. Back up. Oh, what a smart girl you are. Well done. These are the kind of exercises that you can achieve this fantastic amount of maneuverability, that you can put your horse's feet wherever you want him to be. It's amazing. So I'm going to make her come back and line up. Good girl. Good. Perfect. Boot. Boot. Now she got back up a little. Good. Perfect. What a good girl. So I'm going to try something tricky on her. I'm going to see, no promises, I'm going to see if she can tip her head around to that opposite direction, if I can give her a carrot on this side. Good girl. So again, she's getting used to seeing me in this other eye. Good girl. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm going to still encourage her to stand here for a few minutes, but I'm very pleased with that. I think that when I go to back her the next time, and I can actually probably sit on her, and she's going to be a heck of a lot better because of being able to do this and have her not freaking out on me. Good girl. Good job. So, nope, she's got to stay though. But anyway, her maneuverability is getting so much better, and we're just going to keep working on it. I'm going to just ask her to back up a little. Good girl. Good. Good. Back up a little. Back up. Back. 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 Figure it out. You can do it. Back. Yes. Good. Now bring your rear over. Yes, good girl. Perfect. Good. A step or two more forward, but I'm not going to be quite that nitpicky on her. Good girl. Good. So, I mean, how easy is that? Like I said, if you've got a horse that you can jump up on, you know, something, well, I mean, especially if you're out on a trail ride and you're the kind of person that you have trouble getting on your horse from the ground, and heaven forbid you have to get off for something and then you can't get back on. I mean, if you can find some sort of rock or anything to jump up on, and your horse will just line right up to you, how easy is that? So this is a great thing that I like to teach the horses anyway, but specifically for her, because it kind of scared her to have me up above her a little bit, this is a good way to prepare her for being ridden. And it helps keep me safe.